Right, hello, and welcome to another edition of the AskBlue Podcast. I'm joined today by Craig Francis from Google. Welcome, Craig.
Thank you.
Good. How are you doing today?
All good, thank you.
Good.
Sunny Hull.
It's a lovely place when it's sunny. It's also a lovely place, I should point out. It's also a lovely place when it's raining as well. But yeah, great to have you here, and thanks for joining us. Look, let's start with the usual. I apparently need no introduction whatsoever, but you probably get infamous is the right word for sure. Yeah. But it'd be really good for you to just give people a quick overview of who you are, your background, and what you do.
Yeah, absolutely. So Craig Francis. I'm currently with Google on the Chrome OS team, and my official job title is the Kiosk and Signage Partner Manager. And in Google, kiosk is a very ambiguous term, and as well,
I think it is everywhere, right?
I think it probably is, yeah. So, especially when we're talking to people on the continent, a kiosk is like a small tobacco shop or something.
That's where you buy hot dogs from. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah. They're wondering what I'm doing selling those things. But actually, kiosk in our world is anything that's running a single app. So that could be POS, self-service, digital signage, those sorts of things. But I started with Google coming up to 3 years ago now, and I've got a fairly long history in the POS world. I know I don't look like it, but and I started.
Don't we all? I think I started out in the mid 14th century with the POS stuff. Yeah.
I joined Box Technologies actually for my first job out of university, and that was back in the day. I'm sure POS people listening to this will relate, but the TMT88 was the first thing I was selling. And when people rang up and said, "Hey, we want to buy some TMT88s," the first question was, "Do you want serial or parallel?"
Yeah,
and that probably gives you an indication of when I started there. So,
that is a while ago. I remember those days. Yeah, the pre-USB days.
Exactly.
And we're onto the Model 7 of the T88. We should be getting sponsorship money from Epson for this, really, with all the product plugs. Yeah.
But so I did that for quite some time, and that was kind of my first introduction into the POS world. And then from the hardware, I wanted to get more into the software side. So I worked for a company called NCR, selling Aloha point of sale software into hospitality, both on the direct side and then with partnerships as well. So working with our partners across EMEA, helping them to grow their hospitality business through software, hardware, and services as well. Then this little thing happened called COVID.
Remember that? Yeah.
Can't get away without saying it in some of these things.
Yeah.
I think the nicest way to say it is it gave me the opportunity to look for new jobs.
Yeah. I mean, the hospitality industry was probably worse than any, wasn't it? I think by the whole situation around that. Yeah.
There was just nothing happening for that period of time. Yeah. And when you're trying to sell software into people who are closed, it's just not going to work.
Tricky.
So,
yeah.
But it gave me the opportunity to kind of get out of that a little bit and into Google. So here we are today.
So with the Chrome OS team now, I know a little bit about this, but for my benefit, and more so for our viewers, what is Chrome OS?
So most people will know Chrome OS if you've got children in primary school, secondary school.
Yeah.
If they've got a laptop device, it's probably a Chrome OS device. So huge in education. The reasons that we'll probably cover in a little bit, but super secure, easy to manage, all those good things, perfect for that education space. You can be sure that the kids using these things, they are using them for education purposes. They're super locked down and absolutely ideal for that. And Chrome OS, the reason being it's the operating system which sits on that device. So a lot of people, it's still fair to say, see us as that education operating system because of that prevalence in the education space. But actually, we've got a big install base across enterprise as well. And again, when we talk about enterprise, that's corporate, that's manufacturing, that's anyone frontline worker style who's going out with a device and needs to use an application or an operating system. But actually, the enterprise want to make sure that it's secure and modern and reliable, and their workers aren't waiting for the updates to happen across in the morning. And then as we kind of grew from that space in that operating system world, then we moved into things like retail and hospitality, and actually those very specific devices doing specific jobs like digital signage and kiosk. So that's where I am today.
Okay.
So yeah, Chrome OS is an operating system at heart. It's cloud-based, it's modern, super secure, and yeah, it does everything that the traditional operating systems can do.
Yeah, yeah. And you said you know, obviously you joined the Chrome OS team during the pandemic. I guess there must have been some impact. You know, the pandemic must have had a bit of an impact on that, given the nature of the software that you've described. That must have had some sort of impact on that.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think the first sort of entry into the retail hospitality space for Chrome OS was back in 2015, and you know, we said, you know, kiosk and signage. We've got a kiosk mode for Chrome OS now. You can super lock it down into one application. It's ready for everyone. Come and buy it. You know, we're Google. We've created this amazing thing. Surely you want to buy it. And I think there was a bit of uncertainty back then around, you know, well, what is Google doing? Are they going to create a CMS platform? Are they going to try and create a self-service system? You know, what is the end goal here? And so we had some success with a few partners who sort of took it on straight away and saw the value, saw the benefit, and they absolutely loved it from that point on. But it didn't really happen in the scale of what, you know, we wanted to achieve. And again, I'm going to say the P word again, but it was the pandemic really that got us back into that market. We kind of let it drift off a little bit during that sort of 2015 to 2020 time. Back in 2020, there was a lot of digital transformation going on because of the pandemic. It was almost like a forced digital transformation. And that's where people were trying to deploy devices quickly. They were trying to get laptops to remote workers who are now, you know, needing IT. And Chrome OS was
ease of like remote deployment was huge, wasn't it? Because you couldn't rock up and put physically install something in a building that was probably closed anyway.
Exactly. Yep.
So yeah, having the ability to do all that remotely is, and that certainly, you know, one of the biggest growth areas for us at the moment is self-service. We're seeing a huge drive for that, especially in hospitality, but also in retail, whether it's self-service or self-checkout. It's huge for us. So yeah, can we talk a little bit more maybe about the relevance of Chrome OS specifically to retail and hospitality, because that's what that's what I'm interested in.
No, absolutely.
A lot of our retailers too. Yeah.
So I think there's a statistic now: 81% of customers are actively looking for self-service options when they go into a retail space.
Yeah.
And if I think about me as a consumer, when I go into a grocery store, I want to go. I don't really want to talk to people. I want to get my stuff. I want to pay as quickly as I can, as efficiently as I can, and get out. So for me, you know, having this self-checkout option is super important.
I'm with you there. Yeah, I'm all about avoiding people at all costs. Yeah,
absolutely. And also, like when I go into a hardware store, if I'm doing some DIY, which is very rare, I might add, but if I am trying to do some DIY, you know, I've got an inherent fear of looking silly in front of, you know, these people who kind of know what they're talking about.
I'm really good at it, but I fear it too. Yeah.
So, you know, I go into those places. I want to get information about, you know, what tools I need, what particular materials I need, and I'd much rather use a device, a self-service kiosk, or you know, the internet to be able to do that. And so having these options available for customers and consumers, I think is so important. And in fact, there's a huge percentage of investment going into this technology to make that seamless in the retail hospitality space.
Yeah, I mean, we're obviously seeing that in terms of hardware sales and the, you know, some of the other brands that we're working with. You know, we do a lot with, you know, self-service products from people like Elo and Microtouch. You mentioned Epson before, their printers, Star Micronics receipt printers, stands from people like Ergonomic Solutions as well. I mean, the hardware portfolio that we have is extensive for self-service, and as I say, it's definitely where we've seen a lot of growth. We're also seeing a lot more software vendors that are, and I think hopefully we get time to talk about that a little bit more as well, because software is obviously very important to Chrome OS, but building that solution. But I think, you know, something that, you know, we perhaps overlook a little bit, because we know that the hardware that we sell is very reliable, is how are you managing that? And it's hidden a little bit in the background. And we work with people like 42 Gears who've got MDM platforms, of course, but if there's some remote management built into the operating system, then so much the better, right? I mean, we talk a lot about trends in retail and hospitality on this podcast. We had Mark Thompson on from Zebra recently, talking about some of the pillars of doom and some of the key trends that are impacting technology in retail. What would you say are some of the key industry trends in retail that to which Chrome OS is most relevant?
Yeah, I think the main one that we talk about a lot is security.
Right.
So a lot of new technology going out, a lot of new hardware, and so much investment happening, and these devices being deployed. Probably still the same size IT team, making sure that all these devices are patched, all these devices are super secure and ready to go into that public environment where they're being used, used constantly. And a good example of that is we've got a large EMEA-based retailer who had devices out in the field, and all they wanted to do is give the customers the ability to go onto their website to design and build specific things that they didn't have in store, but they wanted them to have access. And they were being abused a little bit by the public because they weren't as locked down as they perhaps could have been. And that was a nightmare for the IT team to be able to keep track of what's going on and make sure that there wasn't anything bad happening on these devices in all these stores, because it was very visible as families and things were walking through.
I mean, they could have just put the devices a little bit higher out of the reach of children, right? Because let's be honest, that's probably who it was messing around with it.
Well, I don't know. There's a lot of bad people. You only have to look at those stores with the letters on the products, and they get rearranged quite consistently.
Yeah.
So
I'm really sorry about that. I just can't help myself.
We knew it was you.
I'm fairly childish myself.
But yeah, so these IT teams are thinking, how do we make sure that is a fairly simple thing to be able to solve? Surely you just got to log down to a website, and that is where Chrome OS comes in. Chrome OS is inherently built from the browser, so it's a Chrome browser, Chrome OS. So we can lock that down as much as we need to for that particular use case. But also, I think one of the biggest headaches for IT teams is, okay, we've patched and we're secure now, but what's next? What are these bad actors working on to try and get us next? And they need to be thinking 2 or 3 steps ahead of what these people are doing, and make sure they're ready for it.
I suppose one of the other big things in one of the big trends that's like almost at the top, if not right out the top of retail CEOs, their to-do list, their whiteboard, whatever, is sustainability. Is there? Can you offer some advantages there?
Yeah, absolutely. So again, lots of technology, lots of energy being used. With the advent of AI, which I'm sure we'll talk about more. I can't do a presentation without talking about AI.
I think
it's my contract.
I think nowadays it's illegal to do a podcast if you don't mention AI at least 3 times in it. Yeah, exactly. So we'll have to. We've done that now, but we can. We perhaps if there's time, come back to that in more detail. But
I mean, but all of this AI technology, all these smart signage, smart kiosks that are going, it's all using as power. So anything that retailers and hospitality vendors can do to manage that and try and offset that a little bit is a good thing. And Chrome OS, because it's such a lightweight, modern operating system, if you have another OS device sat next to a Chrome OS device, the Chrome OS device is using 47% less energy than its equivalent. So just by plugging one against the other, you can see that that's happening.
Nice.
I think we mentioned already about the remote management tools, the remote deployment. So that's less vans on the road, less trips out to go and sort these things out. Again, reducing those emissions. And it's just such a good way, especially with the EU now, about reporting these emissions to reduce that by just switching an operating system. It seems too simple to be true, but we have these studies done, and it's all available to search for. So.
Yeah, no, cool. And I suppose one of the other big trends that we've come across, I was talking on a recent podcast, I think it was with Mark from Zebra. We were looking at just in terms of the experience of not just customers but also staff in retail, and they do an annual survey where usually things are generally getting better despite all the complaints you hear on local Facebook community forum groups. Things are generally actually getting better and not worse. But last year, for the first time, there was a decline, not a major decline, but a slight decline in customer satisfaction, but also employee satisfaction. Is that something that you've noticed as well?
I think again, if I look myself as a consumer going to a fast food place. Occasionally it happens, those mornings when you just need something to get you through.
I call them weekdays.
Yeah, Tuesdays, Wednesdays, yeah. You kind of go in and you're just faced with a bank of self-service kiosks to order yourself, which is fine. I've already said, that's what I normally prefer to do. But what happens if those devices have blue screened, or have got an error, or are doing an update? They're not working.
Or the receipt printer's broken.
Or the receipt printer's broken. It's not giving that experience to me. What that means is all those people that are going to use that are now filtered through to that probably just one single staff point of sale system that is now got a queue snaking around the door, and it's bad for the customer, but it's also bad for the employee, because as those people are walking down that queue and getting to the front, they are not going to be happy people. They've been queuing, they just wanted that experience.
I mean, the thing is as well, like they've got probably 4 or 6 kiosks in there, and whereas before they would also have had 6 to 10 point of sale lanes, they've probably only got 1 point of sale because everybody's going through the kiosk. So exactly. If there's a problem there, and I should probably point out as well, Blue Star receipt printers do not break, by the way, but they do run. They can occasionally run out of paper, so it's that knowing what's happening, what's the status of the hardware can be as reliable as you like, but you can still get faults with it. But the status of it as well, like identifying faults before something goes wrong, that's really important. Yeah,
and I think these workers in these retail and hospitality venues with all of this technology that we're putting in, they're also kind of almost expected to be experts in that as well, right? So when something does go wrong, they're expected to try and get it up and running as quickly as can. They are quite complex solutions, and so anything that our partners, our service providers, can do remotely through these tools that they have to help those people is going to be better. So I think that there probably is, the more technology that gets put into these stores, actually there was the peak in customer employee experience, but as that's now bedded in and then people are expecting more of it, maybe that is now going down. Yeah.
And are there maybe any other hot topics where Chrome OS can offer some advantages to retailers and hospitality?
Yeah, I think especially where we're seeing these things being put in for the self-service kiosk, the digital signage, being able to get those devices in quickly and easily is key. To be able to deploy them without shutting the restaurant, without shutting the retail space for a long period of time, having that is super important. Chrome OS is so easy to deploy, and we'll cover that a bit more, I'm sure. But it doesn't take away from that operating time that restaurants and retail need. So.
Absolutely great. So I suppose just bringing this back to our network of resellers and ISVs that we're working very closely with, what would you say are some of the main points of relevance to them? We've talked a lot about the actual end user, the experience, even the consumer experience. From a partner perspective, what are the relevant advantages of Chrome OS?
So partners, I think it's fair to say, are on the hook for everything that they're putting in, right? They as well, they should be. It's like
that one throat to choke.
Exactly, exactly. So I think they need something that they can put in and trust that they put it in, it works, and if an operating system goes down, that's not necessarily, probably isn't the fault of the partner, but they're the ones that are getting the customer calls to sort it out. So they need to be sure that what they're putting in is going to work all the time. And they may have sold this super nice software, really great hardware from Blue Star that's going into these places, and it's let down by an update or a blue screen or something out of their control. So having something like Chrome OS, which is being looked after by Google, managed by Google, all the updates are done in the background. We've had 0 ransomware attacks on Chrome OS since it was born back in 2010. So they can be sure by putting us in with the solution in with Chrome OS, it is going to work out of the box. They can deploy remotely, and also one thing we haven't yet mentioned is Chrome OS Flex, which is a bit of a superpower for Google, for Chrome OS. So in a world where there's a big hardware cost, especially now with the tariffs coming in and prices are increasing and things, there may be retailers and software retailers and hospitality places which are looking to deploy new solutions, but you can't yet afford that new hardware. Chrome OS Flex could potentially give new life to that hardware and give them another couple of years to get those solutions in. And
you're not suggesting that your operating system will help to reduce the amount of hardware we sell or delay orders, right?
Well, in a world where these orders may be delayed anyway, our partners still need to sell their software to keep the lights on, right? So the idea is that actually, yes, they can sell their software today, build that customer relationship, become the incumbent supplier, so that when that hardware does need replacing, that's when they come back and buy it. Okay. So yes, unfortunately, I am.
I'm somewhat satisfied with your answer.
Thank you.
Yeah, no, that's good. Just very briefly as well, what about? I mean, we talked a lot about self-service, obviously. My view and from previous conversations, and an area that we're increasingly moving into is digital signage. What's your view of that? Retail media networks are obviously a big part of that. Where does Chrome OS sit in terms of the signage market?
Yeah, so traditional digital signage, when you think about like menu boards and the full screen takeovers with the promoting the seasonal best buys or best offers, whatever it may be, that's kind of, everyone's familiar with that. That's across the board. What we're seeing now is more of this smart signage, and also these retail media networks is a huge buzzword across the industry at the moment. Fresh from ISE back in February this year, that was a hot topic in the summits and around the stores. And the reason being is that retailers, hospitality, they're looking for other ways to create a revenue stream. And having these signs up there that they can sell the space, sell the advertising space, is a simple way to do that. But they've got to be effective. Like the brands are going to pay money to have their adverts running, and the most important thing for that brand is to know what the return on investment is. So if that screen is in situ, is running the advert, but actually something has gone wrong on that device and it's not showing that advert, that's lost revenue for the retailer. It's lost revenue for the brand that's paying for it, and the whole kind of system breaks down. And again, we spoke about earlier, that's a solution that's being let down by an operating system error. So having Chrome OS with the resilience and the remote management and the proactive support that you can do through the admin console is super important for that money making solution.
Yeah, and I guess there's a lot of different things in play there, aren't there? There's obviously the screen that everybody sees, but perhaps it's linked into promotions with the point of sale. Perhaps it's linked into the loyalty system and gift card codes, for example, that might be used with that. I think that's all of these things. Mean that it's just got to be joined up, basically, hasn't it? Yeah, and another big topic that we talk about quite frequently is integrated systems in hospitality, and it's hospitality. It's also in retail as well. We tend to talk about it a lot in hospitality because of all of the different areas of hospitality solutions that we're putting in there. It's traditionally it was the POS. Obviously that involves payments as well. Nowadays it's kiosks as well, self-service kiosks, whether it's hospitality or retail. There's the signage that's going in there, and all of this needs to somehow work together, doesn't it? And I would say that another interesting thing about that is how Google Chrome OS has a neat way of bringing all of these disparate systems together. Do you want to talk a little bit more about how that works, Craig?
Yeah, so if you think about a typical hospitality venue in this case, again, you've got the back office, you've got the digital signage, you might have the kitchen menu boards, the order ahead boards that are in there, the order ready screens that are coming through, the point of sale, the self-service kiosks, drive-through screens. There's a lot of different systems out there.
Often provided by different software companies,
exactly.
Not necessarily even integrated together, not necessarily even, ideally, but not necessarily working together, right?
Exactly. And it's you might have 6 or 7 different platforms that those solutions are running on, which means 6 or 7 different lots of MDM solutions to manage them remotely. That means maybe 6 or 7 different antivirus software that needs updating and patching all the time. So it's just a lot of hard work for the IT teams to get all that up to date, secure, and maintained. But what if there was a way to actually have all those solutions running on a single platform, which is managing all those solutions from one admin console, which you can update, and I don't think we mentioned already, but Chrome OS actually gets security updates for up to 10 years. So the version of operating system that those devices are running is going to be consistent across all those devices for the next 10 years, which is it's a lifesaver, I think, for some of these IT teams.
Yeah, I suppose if you think about how quickly the market's changing, the demands for new applications, 10 years is a very long time.
Exactly, and that's 10 years of security updates and updates to the system. You also don't have to worry about antivirus software. You don't have to worry about a third-party remote management tool. It's all included in the box.
Neat.
And we've been doing a lot of work, as that's a lot of different systems, a lot of different technology going out there. We've been doing a lot of work over the last 2 or 3 years to make sure that Chrome OS is also ready for the abundance of peripherals that connect to those devices. So printers, scanners, cash drawers, weigh scales, whatever it is, you name it. We're looking at how to make that out-of-the-box solutions.
Yeah, I suppose the one logical thing perhaps missing from your list there is payment devices. And we've got, if I look at some of the trends that are growing for us, definitely a rising trend for us at the moment is Android operating system. Becoming increasingly more prevalent than Windows, which was very much the norm at least 5, 10, 15 years ago. One of the key advantages that we're selling with Android is soft POS, how that can work on a single device for payments, particularly in the Nordics. I think we're seeing quite a lot of popularity with that. That presents some huge advantages for us, for the technology. We've got hardware vendors that have invested very heavily in that, resellers that are invested in that technology, payment providers that are doing the same thing. Where does Google Chrome OS fit into all of this, into the payment side of things?
So I've got to preface my answer by saying Android, great platform. We love it.
I mean, you all work for the same boss,
exactly,
right? So,
exactly. Yeah. So it's sometimes quite a complicated question to answer. How does Android and Chrome OS fit together in this, specifically in this ecosystem? If I kind of take my Google hat off and put Craig hat on, Android is a fantastic solution for the mobile devices. My phone and runs on Android. Lots of people's phones run on Android, tablets, those sorts of things. Those kind of hardware products have a life, maybe 3 to 5 years. And they get renewed. They slow down, they get renewed, etc., etc. We've already just mentioned that Chrome OS has a life expectancy of 10 years from the security update point of view, which means the bigger form factor devices running Chrome OS are going to survive that much longer with their security updates. So you can kind of see there straight away a kind of natural split that goes through. That being said, the Android enterprise world is amazing, and there's a lot of POS applications now being built for Android, and that's awesome too. And we're actually looking at how Chrome OS and Android can play more nicely together in these ecosystems. So would there be a way perhaps to manage all of those devices, whether it's Android, whether it's Chrome OS, through that single one admin console? I think we'll see how that progresses over the next couple of years. The one challenge that Android has, which is the same as a lot of these operating systems, is people build applications for Android, and Android being an open source platform, they tweak Android to make it work for their solutions. And a lot of those soft POS applications are running on a specific version of Android, for example, and downloaded on those devices. So again, it just going back to that challenge of managing all these different platforms across different solutions, it's kind of a falls into that challenge as well.
Okay.
So Chrome OS, we're doing again a lot of work on the payment side of things, and we're working with lots of different payment providers again to make sure that they can work out of the box with Chrome OS and with the POS application or the self-service kiosk application that is running.
Okay. I guess just a question that's occurred to me is, if you're on Windows now, as a lot of POS providers still are, Is it relatively straightforward to migrate from Windows to Chrome OS compared to migrating from Windows to Android?
It's a similar process. So Windows typically will have a Windows installer application. So the device boots up the application which is loaded onto the device. We've already mentioned about the security posture of Chrome OS in that it's super secure, zero ransomware attacks, etc., etc. Part of the reason for that is that we don't load anything on the device. We keep everything separate from the operating system and the firmware on those devices. So in fact, the way we work with Chrome OS is through progressive web apps. So we put everything into the web to be able to run on those devices. So if you're going from Windows to Android, you would create an Android app. If you're going from Windows to Chrome OS, you would actually create a PWA, a progressive web app, or the new version, which is an IWA, isolated web app. Once you've got that runs perfectly on the Chrome browser, which runs amazingly on Chrome OS, but it actually also works, or could work, on a Chrome browser on an Android device, or a Chrome browser on a Windows device, or a Chrome browser on a Linux device. So, once you've created that progressive web application, you've got it across multiple platforms as well.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, it sounds like it's a lot easier to do that than it is to take an Android device and then try to install Windows on it, or vice versa. Right. We have some devices that are capable of doing that, but with the majority, it's definitely you pick your operating system day one, and if you want to change operating system, you've got to reinvest in the hardware again as well. So it sounds as though that's potentially yet another advantage of Google Chrome OS, is that you could change horses midstream if you decided you want your Windows device to run Chrome OS. That's clearly one of the benefits, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely, and that's the Chrome OS Flex message. So there's a big thing that's happening this year is the Windows 10 to Windows 11 update, right? And there's a lot of retail hospitality vendors out there who have got these devices, and they just won't upgrade to Windows 11. They need to be sent away and new hardware purchased. Well, actually, you can use Chrome OS Flex on the majority of those devices to wipe off the Windows application, put on the Chrome OS, and you've extended that life period. And again, from our partner point of view, you get that customer, you solve that challenge now. In the future, they are going to need your hardware. They're going to come back and purchase from you.
Yeah, let's hoping not in the
not
far
too
distant future.
Yeah,
that's right. Yeah, we've got targets to hit, Craig.
Exactly.
Don't do me out of a job, right? I mean, I think we've touched quite a bit about the software and integration. Let's talk a little bit about ISVs, because they're independent software vendors are very, very important to us. We've got our ISV program where we're Tech Connect, where we're helping to allow them to partner up with the right providers. With the prevalence of new applications, new solutions needed in both retail and hospitality, those partnerships are really, really critical. And I know we're working jointly on either jointly or independently on some of the same software vendors. In fact, I think it's probably an ISV that introduced us in the first place. Either that or it was some sort of networking, by which I mean drinking. Can't quite remember which, but I mean, obviously for both us and for you, ISV partnerships are really, really critical to success. Any good examples you want to highlight of ISVs that you're working with? Yeah,
absolutely. So, like exactly what you said, just want to echo that. Like partnerships with our software providers, ISVs, or our content management solution providers, so CMSs, they're critical for our success. We could deliver an operating system every day of the week, but it's not going to solve the retailer or hospitality's challenge. That's being solved by those software providers. So we want to make sure that we're working with the biggest and the best, and the ones being selected by the customers. A good example of those in the digital signage space would be Navori. Big global company, work with big brands, and very scalable from the single sites right up to the sites in the thousands of these devices. And they saw the value, saw the benefit of building on Chrome OS, developed the application, and is now one of our Chrome Enterprise recommended partners. So delivering solutions across the globe.
Yeah, well done, Navori.
Yeah, good for them. Yeah. And then a bit close to home as well, perhaps a little bit smaller at the moment, is a company called SolarClick.
Yeah.
Slightly different. They have a digital signage platform which is incredible for the SMB space. So it's a templated signage. We know the biggest cost when deploying digital signage is actually probably getting the content created and relevant and up to date. And they've managed to find a way to template that. And so if you're a burger restaurant and you just want to have a burger menu, there's already options for you, and it looks professional grade, but it's super simple to deploy. And they're using Chrome OS for that.
Yeah, I've played around with that myself. I was even a dinosaur like me was able to create a simple signage
There you go.
thing. Yeah.
But the other side of their business is, we mentioned drive-throughs a bit earlier in these complex solution stacks. They have a voice AI solution.
Yeah, that's really cool, isn't it? Really cool.
And one of the trends in the hospitality industry is driving those efficiencies and saving costs, and trying to get the best experience for people. And drive-through is one of those which is so easy to do, because when you're taking orders from the cars, that's a person just inputting orders into the point of sale. Well, if you can have an AI doing that, that person can be redeployed into the kitchen, which is, again, driving more efficiencies, improving the customer experience. It's just endless benefits from getting an AI to do that simple order processing task.
Probably actually reduces mistakes as well, doesn't it? It's anyone can import data wrong, but as long as the voice AI is understanding it correctly,
Absolutely. And an AI is not afraid to ask. If it doesn't understand the order, it's going to keep asking until it gets it.
Yeah.
And if it still doesn't understand the order, then it backs it off onto a person to try and help. Whereas a member of staff on a Saturday morning is just like, they might not be upselling, they might be afraid to ask the question. I didn't get that.
Let's face it, they might be hungover, Craig. Yeah.
I didn't want to say that, but probably more. If I was working there, I probably would be.
Not a slur on any of the fast food restaurants in the local area, of course, but yeah, no, it's a really, really cool solution. It always reminds me of that Face Jacker episode where they've got the guy pretending to be to be a voice AI thing.
In the retail, we talked about hospitality and side of things, but in retail as well, one of the biggest challenges is people going into a store. They have a look, they see the things, but the store might not have their size, or might have something they don't have. It's slightly different. The customer then walks out, and they're kind of left on their own. Are they going to go to the website to order it? Like, it's just an unknown. So one of the really cool solutions that we've seen is from CloudShelf. And it's kind of like what's called an endless aisle solution. So whilst that customer is still in the store and is still in that sort of purchasing mode, the CloudShelf application can actually open up that web page, can navigate to the thing that these people are trying to buy, take the order and get it delivered directly to their address. The really cool solution from that, and having worked in retail as a young boy myself on a commission basis, is that I would be able to actually assign myself to that sale as well, so that bricks and mortar sale is attributed to the effort that I put in on that sales process. So it's a really nice solution, which again improves the employee experience.
And the customer.
Great customer experience, and it's keeping the revenue in there at the point where the customer is ready to make that decision. You don't lose them to Amazon or whatever.
Absolutely. And I think as well, if you want to go in, like going back to your example of the DIY, you can't find what you're looking for. You can find it there, and you can presumably even link that with a physical location in the store as well. So you maybe don't want to walk up and down the aisles, but you want to check that they've actually got it there.
Exactly.
And obviously the integration with the online ordering for the same retailer as well is pretty important too. Yeah. So again, we know all of those companies in terms of signage and self-service, some really good examples. Have you got any live POS applications where you've got people that are running point of sale on Chrome OS? You don't need to name names here if you don't want to, because I know there's probably a little bit of confidentiality around that. But
no, absolutely. So the short answer is yes. We do have. The longer answer is there's a fantastic case study which is public, which people can navigate to, which is Domino's Pizza over in the US. The whole Domino's chain over there is running Chrome OS in their stores. I think it's around 50,000 devices across the estate as well. So that's a really good example. There's some smaller ones close to home as well, and again, the work that we've been doing on the peripherals has really empowered this. And some of these smaller homegrown applications, which are built on the web first, just naturally work out the box on Chrome OS. So we're seeing a lot of interest in developing on this as people try and get out of that complexity of these legacy operating systems, for sure.
Yeah, really good. I guess, the elephant in the room is always AI. At least these days, we're morally and legally obliged to talk about AI, and we've already touched on it, I guess, with SolarClick as well. Anything specific to Google Chrome about how AI can be used with efficiencies or bringing some other other advantages?
Yeah, so we see a lot of the AI is actually built into the ISV's application, right? That's what the big sexy AI stuff is doing. So obviously SolarClick's voice AI, but we've also got a digital signage partner who installing smart signage into retail. So with cameras on the screens, and they're looking at the demographics of the people, walking past and making content more relevant to them. So some very, sort of the start of the basic AI for signage. We also have even more simple things is, in the drive-through situation, if there's a big line at the drive-through, the cameras can pick up that line and actually start promoting the easier menu items. So trying to get the quicker things to try and shift that line much quicker.
I've never thought about that. That's a really clever way of using it, isn't it? Yeah.
And also, there's simple applications to link to weather apps. Getting the AI to link to a weather app, to look at what's going to happen over the next thing and start promoting things relevant to those.
Yes, if it's a hot day, they can promote McFlurries or other ice cream brands are, of course, available. Yeah.
Well, sometimes the McFlurries aren't available, right? Those ice cream machines are pretty flaky. That's relevant to the customers and the consumers, right? That's the AI that matches them. For the partners, we're trying to build things into the admin console, into the MDM, to make it easier for them. So, we're already got the dashboard in the MDM, which gives you the entire estate, which goes down and looks at the devices, gives you their health, which ones need some proactive support to make sure that those sites are up and running. That's kind of all included in there. But also then, AI helpers within the admin console. So it will detect, if you're setting up a kiosk, for example, the AI could look at that and say, hey, here's all of the settings and policies that I think you should deploy on these kiosks. So just to try and speed up the process, really.
Right. So lots of really, really good benefits to working with this. I guess we could probably chat about this all day if given the time, but just trying to start to bring things to a bit of a close. Is there any if people want to find out more about Google Chrome? I know there's a few upcoming events. We had ISE earlier in the year. What are the next couple of things that you're involved in where people can get to know you a little bit better?
So the next one is going to be the Digital Signage Summit, which is run by a company called Invidis. We work with them quite a bit. They're a third-party consultancy agency, but they're kind of like the leaders in that digital signage industry across EMEA and globally, actually. And they put on a summit every May in Munich. We're going to be there as sponsors, but lots of big brands, big names, big vendors, system integrators talking on stage, all about the trends of the signage world, really. So that's going to be a really good one.
Good stuff.
And then we'll be in Paris in September for the new NRF.
NRF Europe,
NRF Europe. So that'll be interesting to see. We'll have a little booth there. But the Chrome OS team, I just say Google is a vast ocean of products and people and solutions. The Chrome OS team is a fairly small island within that. So we do have people like myself and partner managers, sales managers, service tech support all across EMEA as well. So reach out to us, reach out to you to connect us, and we can certainly help.
Yeah, I mean, it's good. I think it's good. The good thing is, obviously, we've known each other quite a while. Even I'm sure we've crossed paths in your Box Technologies days. I've certainly been in contact with you when you were at NCR Hospitality as well. It's good. I think it's good that you've got people that have got expertise in the retail and hospitality space, because that's what you need. People who can talk the language of the resellers that we're working with. Anything particularly you'd want to say to our resellers, just in conclusion?
I think just get in touch, reach out to us. We we love the word collaborate. It's one of those words next to AI that we have to say in every presentation. So we're always looking to collaborate. We've got some beautiful event spaces that we love to use.
Yeah.
So hosting customers, hosting partners, we're ready to do that with them.
Yeah, we'd really like to do an event in one of your. And you've got an office at King's Cross, so that'd be a cool thing to do. We're always looking for the next exciting venue to do something. And yeah, I guess if it's in King's Cross, it couldn't be, certainly from the north, it couldn't be more accessible by rail, could it? But that's something that if people are partnering with you and they wanted to do something to educate their customers, that's something we can do there. Yeah, and yeah, I mean, if you're struggling to contact you, I guess we could always Google you, right?
Absolutely, yeah. Keep searching.
Yeah.
We enjoy you searching things on Google. So please reach out.
Yeah, for sure. And if people are looking to get in contact with Craig, we'll put the contact details for Blue Star there in the show notes so that we can facilitate that introduction to you. Yeah. So yeah, all that remains for me is to say thank you very much, Craig.
Thank you.
It's been a pleasure talking to you as always. Good to see you again. Perhaps we'll get you back again at some point in the near future. And if there's anything at all you'd like to see from Blue Star or from Craig and the Google team following on from this, just drop us a message and we'll work out all of those introductions. So that's it from us this time. Thanks again, Craig.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening, and we look forward to see you soon on the next exciting Ask Blue podcast. Thank you.